What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hooper's Delight Podcast, Episode 3 with EBC, my guy, Coach Key. We got a fun episode today, man. One I've been waiting to talk about, and that's the rise of girls basketball, not just in the state of Idaho, but just overall. College level, professional level, girls getting paid more now, and all that type of stuff. So let's jump into this. Like I said, been excited for this, waiting for this. For you, I'm just going to jump right into it here. How has the game of girls basketball changed in the state of Idaho, at least over the last 5-10 years, since Destiny Slocum? You could touch on her, how she changed the game even.
Okay, so when I moved back in 2013, 2014, graduated 2013, 2014, I met Destiny Slocum, Tori Williams, Neek Williams, Coach Ebony that's at Bora, shout out to her. They had two twins from Nampa that were really good, and they had their whole team, and Coach Sham, he's also a coach at Bora. He really developed and helped with a lot of development with the younger girls, and Coach Leon too, Diamond Lane, he helped with a lot of development as far as the girls. So when I first came back, to be honest with you, there was more girls going Division I back then than boys by a lot, and there probably still is now.
It still is, yeah, still is.
The exposure wasn't the same, but the offers and stuff like from Destiny, Tori, and those girls, they had they did their thing. But the way that I think the difference now is that the way that they approached and how their club was, because they played Hoop Dreams, how they approached the game and what they had to do to put them in that position is a lot different now. There's not as many girls doing what they did. So that team had, I want to say 6 or 7 Division I's. And then on top of that, I think every girl on that team went on to play college. But those girls from the time, because Tori was in 8th grade, Destiny, I want to say was a freshman. Those girls were doing weights in the morning. They had team practice, and then they would go through school, and then they would have practice after, and then they would go and do their extra stuff that they did. They did a lot of, we did table rock, but they did stuff with the boys. They competed. It was a little different as far as like the development and the growth of it. Now, how it is now with having T3 and having Meta and Tree of Hope and Diamond Lane has a club. There's Complete Athlete. Yeah, I think there's another one.
Complete Athlete Northwest.
Select Women's.
Yep.
There's more club teams expanding. Before it was kind of like Hoop Dreams and Slam. Mm-hmm. And that's really all that I knew. And we had a girls flight team, but outside of that, there wasn't too many, and there might be more, but those are the ones that I know of. But as far as now with having how Meta's girls program has kind of just like taken off. Tree of Hope has been there and it's done good, and they're still up there too. But between those two programs, just the amount of players that are getting recognition, getting viewership, getting just having a spotlight and having a platform to where they can be seen and stuff like that, it's grown tremendously. The coverage on the women has grown all the way up, not even just from high school out here, but college and the WNBA as well. But there hasn't been how it is now. There wasn't that before. You had the one club that was doing it. Maybe the others were. I'm not familiar with that, but the level which those girls did when I was coming up, they were the ones that kind of like set the tone, and then it kind of like got stagnant for a little bit, and then now it's back on that that ascension. So the programs now have just been, as far as, and to be honest with you, no disrespect to the high school programs, and there are good ones, but a lot of the development and growth has come through the club programs.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, and obviously I've got close ties to Meta Hoops, and I've watched the development of that and how they've really built kind of I'm not going to call it a dynasty, but kind of, they're one of the top teams on the West Coast at this point. They've got the top player in Washington, Bryn McGoffey. They brought her over. So they're doing kind of what the select boys side is doing when they're taking advantage of this connecting states and trying to handpick the top players, bring them out, and then make this team based out of Idaho relevant. Right. And that, as we can see with the Owyhee boys team, that floods into the high school scene. Right? That's what we're seeing there. Meta Hoops is doing something similar. Destiny Slocum. So when I got out here, I was first out here in 2010, 2011. Then I left for a little bit and came back around 2013, 2014 when when Slocum was doing her thing, McDonald's All-American.
Yeah.
I believe she was the first McDonald's All-American
Yep.
out here. Destiny Slocum. She ended up going to what was Maryland, and ended up going to Oregon State. And
She went to Oregon State. She went Maryland.
Oregon
I'm pretty
State.
sure she got freshman of the year.
at
And
Maryland,
then she went to Oregon State.
who was a top-tier team when she got there, which she helped.
Oh, did she go to Oregon State first? No, I think she went to Arkansas.
Was it Arkansas?
I think Arkansas first.
She
and
jumped
then
around and
Oregon
went
State.
to elite programs.
Yeah.
I think 3 or 4 of them.
And then went to Oregon State. I think she finished. Yeah, she finished at Oregon State.
She finished at Oregon State. Yeah, that's right. So she really was the first, like, wow, like people out here talk. I remember people talking, can she play on the boys team? Is she like that? Is she, all that type of stuff. She really kicked it off, like you said, from what I recall. And now, like you were saying, girls basketball in Idaho is probably higher up on the totem pole than boys basketball. And a lot of the guys are not going to like to hear that. They may flip the podcast off, but that's facts, man. We got double-digit Division I offerees in the state right now.
And good programs.
Good programs, facts. But you've got Avery Howe, who my opinion is going to be another McDonald's All-American this year, USC commit, Gatorade Player of the Year as a junior last year. And then you've got, I'm going to start name dropping. You got Paige Kofer at Eagle, who almost single-handedly as the 8th seed last year goes and has 26 on Coeur d'Alene, the state champs, and almost beats them. She's going to Utah Tech. She's been committed for a while there since I think her sophomore year. That was her dream school. And then you've got other girls, CJ Lotta from Minico's going to Utah State, where our boy Case Wynot's going. You've got the girl from Shelley, Cannon. She's going to BYU. She's over there at Shelley. And then, man, I'm missing a ton. You got Little Ajoku, who's got a Fresno State offer. You've got Shay Shippen, who's got multiple Division I offers as a junior at Skyline. Her sister, Kaisa Shippen, is a CSI commit.
Yep.
And then so on and so forth. You've got a ton of Rodriguez, Seattle. Who else we missing?
You got UNLV.
UNLV, Tegan Colvin. Her little sister, Brooksley Colvin, is a freshman with an Iowa offer. Iowa, Caitlin Clark's Iowa, who potentially is my pick to win the whole thing this year, which is saying something because LSU got everybody back and some. But she is a freshman with an offer to Iowa, and she's out here hooping in Idaho.
Right.
Like, man, there's so many hoopers out here on the girls' side, and I'm looking at the SIC particularly, and you've got, if you look at the top 4 or 5 teams, they've all got a Division I signee. CC Legaspi, Cal Baptist, that's Division I. Avery Howe, like I said. And on that Boise team, Katie Hahn, the big girl.
Yeah.
She's got a D1 offer.
Yeah.
And then you've got Kofer at Eagle. And then you got Rodriguez at Hawaii. And then you've got that young Bora group that's going to have a couple potentially Division I girls there.
A couple years.
So girls basketball is when you talk about sports collectively in Idaho, girls basketball, and I've been saying it since this summer, like I'm most excited to follow girls basketball because there's so many Division I hoopers, like 1 through 8, the top 8 teams. Rigby has got Cambry Barber. They've got Kylie Danzy, who has a Utah State Eastern offer. They've got Miley Graham, who has a Western Wyoming offer and a Cal Merced offer. And then they've got Togiai, who's going to get offers, and Kinsley Larson, who's going to get offers. Rigby's loaded. So back east, up north, down here, like wherever you go, you can find Division I hoopers in the girls' game. It's not like that in the guys' game. It is a little bit. They're sprinkled around. Buchanan last year, Mitchell, that was a special group up north. Obviously, Hawaii's the place to go when you want to see Division I boys play. And then you've got Why Not at Lapway. But girls basketball has quietly become one of the elite, if you will, sports in the state of Idaho to follow, and with the athletes. They are repping.
Right.
They are repping.
Well, it's a little different. It's a little different. How you get recruited and what these teams need as far as at the next level, whether it be junior college and up, all the way to Division I, how to get recruited, how to be seen, and what these coaches are looking for is their development. And their potential sits further in the women's game than I would say the men's, because from a women's standpoint, if you have a 5'10" guard post player out, depending on where you're at, 5'10" is usually, guard, post, whatever. If you have a player like that, you're going with her potential to be, 1, she can play multiple positions. 2, from a skill set standpoint, if they can shoot it, that girl is more likely to get recruited further on because of just the size advantage, because the height level is way different.
Yeah.
When you're 6'3", 6'4" in the women's game, you're a giant, considered a giant. You're huge, you're a big center. In the men's game, you got 7'6" guys, you got 7'2", 6'10", 6'11". So it's a little different. And the athleticism, stuff like that. So how you get recruited is a little different. How women play the game from a skill standpoint, very skillful. And they're very technical and they're very fundamental. And there isn't as much gambling or risk taking in a sense of breaking the system, breaking the set.
Yeah.
And so and that's no shot at the women at all. But when you sit there and you look at a girl that can get you 18 rebounds like Avery Howell and also hit 5, 6 threes, that puts them way further ahead than these other girls that are probably, say that their height is 5'5" or 5'4", and they hit you with 6 to 7 threes. Yes, it's impressive, but it's not as impressive as the girl that's going to get you 18 rebounds.
100%.
And can block shots and just have that size advantage, the length difference and stuff like that. So, but the development from the women's side and how to really propel them into that college area is a lot, I wouldn't say easier, but if you can teach these kids and these young girls how to play a role, they're more likely to get pushed into that next level, especially if they can master that role.
Well, and let's touch on that a little bit. And this is just how I feel about it. And we'll talk about this maybe another time more in depth, but a lot of these kids don't have the understanding that when you go to the next level, you're not going to be who you've been.
Yeah.
For example, Avery Howell is an absolute monster. She's different up here. She can score at all 3 levels. She can facilitate above average, which I think is an underrated part of her game. She can defend 1 through 4. I'd even throw her on a 5. She's such a dog. But when she gets to the next level, she's not going to be playing bully ball at
Right.
SC. She's going to be playing next to and behind Juju,
Right.
who is maybe the best player in the country as a freshman.
Right.
And I think she's a great complementary piece, but she's not going to be doing at SC what she's doing at Boise,
Right.
which touches on your point, which girls that can do multiple things, who have the size to do different things, to plug and play and to develop in different areas. That's what makes a lot of these coaches at programs like SC the best of the best.
Right.
Because they can see a girl, they can kind of see her ceiling.
Right.
What can she be? Where can we put her? If she can't do this, can she do this? Because you can't be a one-trick pony at the next level.
Yeah,
You
no.
just can't. You're not gonna. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, unless you're a girl like an Avery Waddington from Lake City who's going to Montana, and she's not a one-trick pony by any means. She gave Avery Howell problems defensively when they played in Lake City, upset Boise at Boise, but she got a strap. She's 6'3" with a strap.
Right.
You got someone like that who's a 6'3" shooter who can shoot over the top of people and spread the defense. If you find a 6'3" girl with that type of strap, that's more of the type of one-trick pony.
Right.
With like the difference type, the different type of size and whatnot. But man, it's gonna be fun to see how these girls translate to the next level, especially a girl like Avery Howell, who is potentially going to be a McDonald's All-American and part of the top recruiting class in the country at SC, who currently has maybe the top player. Caitlin Clark is a top player, but next in line, you got to say, is Juju. And she gets to get implemented into that, and we get to follow that, be a part of that. We got an Idaho girl in there, just like Buchanan at Virginia. It's different.
Right.
And so it's changing. The boys' game is changing. The girls' game is changing. But how do you see some of these girls translating at the next level? Girls that you know specifically, like an Avery Howell, and I've got a list here of girls that I'm going to read off real quick because they all deserve a shout out.
Right.
We got Avery Howell going to USC from Boise High. You got Avery Waddington from Lake City going to Montana. You got Brinley Cannon from Shelley High School going to BYU, which BYU is big time. Shout out to Coach Whiting out there, changing the game out there.
And Amari.
Yeah,
Coming
Amari
back
Whiting.
from the injury and balling.
Yeah, Amari Whiting is her. And then you got Tegan Colvin from Coeur d'Alene going to UNLV. You got Cambry Barber going to BYU, big time athlete out there at Rigby. CJ Lotta, Minico, she's going to Utah State. They play at Waihe today. Can't wait for that. Speaking of Waihe, Sydney Rodriguez, Seattle University.
Shooter.
Shooter all day. Paige Kofer, Utah Tech. She's from Eagle. Miley Graham, like I said, has a Western Wyoming offer, Cal Merced offer. Those are D3, NAIA. Sophie Zufelt from up there at Lake City. She's got William Jessup offer over there in Sacramento, really good basketball school. Grace Mertes, Seattle Pacific. Kylie
Worker, shooter.
She got a
Shooter.
strap. She's still one of the most underrated players in the state for me.
Yep.
She can fill it up. Kylie Danzy, she has Division III offers, NAI offers. Quinley Kessler from back east. Kaisa Shippen, who's a CSI commit. Her sister Shay Shippen, maybe the best pure point guard in the state as a junior, Skyline. There's a potential for a transfer there. Tune in for that. And then you've got sophomore at Cole Valley. You got Trinity Holsinger, who's got an NNU offer already. And then I said Little Ajoku, Jada Ajoku, Fresno State. Emmy Swilly, University of Portland, and Eastern Washington. And then you got girls who have been doing it the last couple of years. Jaleesa Lawrence is at Eastern Washington. You've got, who else we got?
Jaden McNeil.
Jaden McNeil went to Eastern Washington. Now she's at CSI.
Yep.
I mean, we could go all day. Trinity Slocum, who went to Hawaii.
Yep.
Naya Ajokwu, who went to Utah, who's a top 10 program, now at Gonzaga.
Yep.
Like, we could keep going and going and going on that. It's not like that with any other sport for me. And I've been following these sports. Guys basketball, we know where guys are going. A bunch of like Hayden Fletcher's down in the OC. Yeah, a bunch of junior college guys, which is Austin Ramos is doing his thing over at Walla Walla. Noah White, Josh Gillespie's up there in Canada hooping. Like, basketball is definitely changing here since I first got here. I mean, you've been here. You know better than anybody. That's why we're here doing this. But I just want to recognize that the girls are doing their part in elevating the game and pushing the game, if not more so, at least with, with the big name signings and what they're doing. And all of a sudden you're hearing USC talk and Montana and all these different places these girls, the BYU commit, multiple BYU commits is crazy. So, I mean, these girls deserve love. The coverage, like you said, has gotten better. Shout out to all the media guys out there that give the girls the time of day because they deserve it, and whatnot. So transitioning to the college game and what's happening there, we were talking before we started with the NIL stuff and how some of these girls are making, 7 figures because of what they're doing at the next level. And, you've got anywhere from 200,000 to 1.5 million. These girls are making in NIL money because of what they're doing at the college level, and the NIL has been implemented, and it's just transitioning into the WNBA, which is, I think, growing rapidly. You've got Sabrina Ionescu, who got her own kicks. Check that out. The Sabrinas, let's go. I mean, there's just, I never thought I'd see the day where you got guys all over the place wearing the Breanna Stewart shoes, the Sabrinas. I'm getting the Sabrinas. Jace Allen and Jordan Allen, my guys from Hawaii, they're both like, we just got some 6 Sabrinas. They're coming in. I'm going to sport those. Love to see it, man. What's your feel on that? Just how the girls' game, I don't want to say it's caught up to the guys' game. I just think that's a completely different thing. Like you said, it's all just different. But it's exciting, I think. I got 2 daughters, so I'm excited.
Well, it's drawing attention, and it's deserved. And the hard part is that before, and it's not just now, but before, to get the viewership, it was the hard part. And a lot of people don't understand. They think, well, the girls need to get paid the same as the guys. It needs to be the same but it comes down to views and overall interest and marketing. A lot of times from the women's side, the marketing didn't come until the Final Four. And so that's why a lot of people know about UConn, they know about Tennessee, they know about Notre Dame. Like, that was when it was marketed. But during the regular season, you didn't get those big matchups. Nobody was tuning in, and maybe I'm wrong, but nobody that I know was really tuning into the UNC Duke girls game. You know what I mean? Nobody was really tuning into those type of games. You would go catch a UConn game every now and again. If you're a basketball junkie like me, you would tap into Tennessee, you would tap into Notre Dame, you would tap into South Carolina, you would go and look at these things. But if you're not, it's not getting thrown in your face. But in the men's game, you got the tournaments at the beginning of the season, from the Maui Invitational to Atlantis to all these other things. You have the SEC Challenge where they're promoting it and they're showing it. So now you can see that. So now with the women's, and especially like the first game for Caitlin Clark this year that they did at the football stadium, they had like 55,000 people in. It's like that made the headlines because of how many people attended the game, because she's a big catch and she's a big draw and people want to see her, but they're also promoting her now. And not just her, that's putting, the University of Iowa, at the forefront. So now with Juju at USC, and, there's more girls that are, like right now, there's a girl at Utah, the big girl she gave South Carolina 37. and there's nothing they can do with her. But they're showing it, and it's hitting pages, it's hitting headlines. And some of these other schools that typically we're having, majority of the headlines, like UConn, it's kind of like where they're not gone away, but like they're not number one anymore. And before, like when I was growing up, UConn was winning everything. And it's like you only tapped into typically UConn or a Tennessee game, and that's who you watch. Notre Dame had that little feel for a little bit, that little stretch. But
Agumba Wale, she was.
You had Stanford too, like that is now, so there's a couple programs that really, but they market. But outside of that, these smaller schools like the Big Sky schools and Mount West schools, the marketing isn't the same, and it deserves to be that. And that's the step where you get the growth. That's where you get these girls getting even more than the 1.5 mil. They'll get up to 5 and 10 mil, but it's viewership. You have to draw eyes. You have to be a catch. You have to have people interested in clicking on the page or going and watching the stream and things of that nature. So I think that the girls are getting better, and there's more girls dunking the ball now than ever. There's girls that are more skilled now than ever. There's like the freshman class this year is insane with Juju, the point guard at South Carolina that they got that was doing all the behind the back, Jason Williams type looking plays.
Tough.
So there's more. And even the freshman that's at LSU that had a 40 ball already, she had 42. So there's more, that talent level is just getting higher and higher, but it's also, they're starting to market the girls in high school more and better. Not just from a club standpoint, but also from the high school, like the prep schools and then the nationally ranked schools. They're getting more eyes, and I think that's the biggest step for the college needs to even get bigger, and then they need to do the same thing for the WNBA, because college women's basketball is bigger than WNBA. And the WNBA needs to get more marketing. They need to advertise everything that they got going on. They just tried to do the 2 super teams between the Aces and the Liberty. And a lot of people tune into that. There's been more viewership for the WNBA now than ever. Some NBA players are now tapping into it and showing up for games and wearing some of the players' jerseys and stuff like that. They're getting shoes. Those are the next steps they need to do. And the young ladies need to have a personality too, to be on be in that stage and shout out their shoes, be on a Gatorade commercial and have those opportunities. So I think that will then excel them even further, the more that we can get not just 1, not just 2, maybe not even the top 5, but even some of these smaller school star players to get up there and get some viewership too, then I think that'll change the overall outcome of the NIL and how much further they can take it.
So there's a lot of room for growth. Still.
But it's still good. But it's
for sure.
They want to get to where the boys is at. That's one thing that they could do to try to get up there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think there's a lot of room for growth, which is exciting.
Right.
I think where it's come in the last 10 years since we were touching on Destiny Slocum from then to now is exciting.
Right.
For the state, for college basketball, I think is made the biggest jump. Like you said, people like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, even the aspect of the trash talk. You see the trash talk. You see them girls chirping and going at it, and you hear things on ESPN from all these talking heads that think they know. Oh, that's not ladylike. That's not. Listen. Like, we seeing more and more dogs. We seeing more and more girls coming out, showing their personality. Like you said, I think needs to happen. Like that's important to me. Girls are much tougher than I think they're given credit for at the elite, at least.
And they're feistier.
Yeah, like Caitlin Clark. If I get in a fight, I want Caitlin Clark on my side because I know what's in here. Right. Like she kind of got that Austin Bolt feel where it's like not taking no for an answer. Like she's her, she knows she's her, and she's gonna go get it. And there's a lot, and I like that she is kind of the example for the young girls. Sabrina Ionescu as well. Asia Wilson has her own vibe, and she's tough as it gets.
Kelsey Plum too.
Kelsey Plum. Like, so being a dad of 2 daughters, I'm looking at, who's kind of the face of the game right now. And it is extremely impressive that multiple college girls, you would say, if you're talking the Mount Rushmore in a sense of right now, who are the faces of girls, women's basketball? You've got Sabrina. You've got Asia Wilson. You've got maybe a Breanna Stewart. You've got a Caitlin Clark, an Angel Reese.
Paige Beckers.
Yeah, Paige Beckers. You've got girls who are still in college that you would consider who all these young girls are looking at, which you don't see that at the college level necessarily for guys. For guys, you don't. It's all, I mean, we got Steph, Giannis, Luka, Joker, like that's. But for the girls' game, and that kind of proves your point, is that the college game may be even more so in the limelight than the pro game.
Right.
And there needs to be things done, which I think is great. I think the college game ultimately is going to push the pro game and make it better, which makes perfect sense. It's what it should be doing, and we get to sit back and watch it. But it's been really crazy to see the benefits of NIL in the women's game. Right. Because that's, I think, has part to do. You tell me how you feel about that, but I think the NIL aspect of it, a lot of people hate it. I hate it for college football for certain reasons and this and that because of the transfer portal and all this stuff going on. But for women's basketball specifically, it is elevating the game.
Right. Well, they're staying.
For different reasons.
Well, they have to stay, I think, 3 years they have to stay?
Yeah,
but now it's a lot easier for them to stay, and majority of them should stay because you're going to make more money.
Yeah.
Playing college than you would going into the WNBA. But I think what happens is that the difference between like the college transition to the WNBA and the college transition to the NBA is in the women's game, typically the top players on each team are the first round draft picks in the WNBA, where in the NBA, there's people all over the place. You have people from, overseas, you have the guys that are at the smaller schools that have passed the eye test of these scouts. And it's not always like the national player of the year, typically for college and men's, isn't a good pro or doesn't even get picked.
Facts.
Where in college for women, the national player of the year is typically being a first pick or in the top 5.
Yeah.
And so,
no question.
But the development's different. These young women are grown women by the time that they get to the WNBA, and when you factor them going through 4 years of coaches that stay with them that are hard on them, now obviously there's transfers and whatnot, but typically they're staying for those 4 years with the same coach that is teaching them the concepts that they need to then propel them to be a pro. The games are different though. Mm-hmm. When you go, it's very difficult because you can have a girl, like I know a girl, one of my good friends, Jade, she got drafted to the Seattle Storm, and they have their training camp, and then she gets waived because they can only have so many people on the roster. They don't have enough money. And so, but I'm looking at these girls now are going overseas. She's playing against the same girls that are in the WNBA overseas. But the difference is that, the WNBA can keep them, pay them less. She's making just as much money as these girls overseas, and she's competing and cooking these girls. So it's a little bit different how their route to the pros, and it's not as attractive to go to the WNBA. It's just not.
Yeah.
A lot of those girls are playing year round because they have to, because the WNBA doesn't do enough. And the seasons, it's in the summer. It's not even that long. And, there's obviously some other reasons for them, they can miss a year based upon if they have a husband or not, get pregnant or whatever. But the growth that the NIL has helped a ton. I think it gives people to stay, a reason to stay, and to also get better. Because if you become one of those names, you can make money.
Yeah.
And you can make a lot. And that might be your, if that's your motivation to get a little, kick to work a little harder, I don't think that's a bad thing.
That's what Angel Reese came out and said. They're like, oh, hey, are you going to go to the draft? Why?
Right.
Why? I'm at LSU. I'm with all my friends. I'm making much more here than I would make there. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC, they came out and asked him, are you going to the draft next year? You were the Heisman last year. You're top 5 pick at least. Are you ready to go to the league? And he's like, if I get drafted by one of these 5 teams, yes, because I'm going to make more money here anyway.
Right.
He goes, if I don't get drafted by one of these 5 teams, I don't want to come out.
Right.
And it's like, what?
Right.
We never heard that before.
Right.
Like these athletes being like, I don't want to go pro, even though Angel Reese is a potential top pick. She's a double machine. She's a monster. She's gonna be great. Like she's a little Asia Wilson.
Right.
And so you got people like that. You got the top quarterback in the class. He's gonna be a very good NFL quarterback most likely. And they're like, I don't want to go because the money and the NIL, and it's just been incredible to watch. But once again, I mean, the change that it's brought to the women's game has been exhilarating, exciting. Yep. I'm so excited to see where it goes. Once again, a dad of 2 daughters who both enjoy basketball. I'm in it more. I'm following it more. I've always been a girls basketball fan, and And I grew up around, I went to Oregon City High School growing up, which was the top girls basketball program in the country. I went, my junior year, we had 8 Division I commits. One of them didn't even play her senior year because she wasn't going to get burned. And she went to Idaho State. She skipped her senior year, hung out with her friends, went to Idaho State to play basketball, loaded. Had a McDonald's All-American. So those girls were always coming to us, and we had a good guys team. They were like, we want to run with you guys, open gym. When are we do an open gym with you guys? We want to play with and against you guys. Right. Those girls knew it. Back then, when I was in high school, 20 years ago, I was engulfed in the girls basketball culture in that sense. They have the tournament there every year, the end of the Oregon Trail girls basketball tournament. Used to work it and whatnot, but I've always loved girls basketball, so I'm extra excited to see where it's coming, especially in the state of Idaho. In the 10 years, 12 years that I've been here, just like night and day.
Yeah. That's how Destiny was. Destiny was the same way. Destiny would try to jump into the runs, need all those girls, all that Hoop Dreams squad wanted to play against the boys, talk trash to the boys, and the thing that was most impressive to me is don't take it easy on us.
Yeah.
Like don't treat us the same way that you would, don't just call a foul, don't like guard me, and that's I think that what separates the girls that go to college and actually have a successful career and do damage there is the ones that don't run away from the challenge. Oh, well, no, none of that. Let's compete. I mean, let's see where I stack up. I just seen Destiny cook plenty of college guys.
So let's end it with that conversation. Let's end it with this, and I'm gonna give the ladies a little bit of advice out there. Take it if you want. You want to get better? Go play with the guys.
Yeah.
Go to your boys team and be like open gym. Like as soon as the season's over, go run with the guys.
Right.
I don't care. You a senior, junior, like you want to get better. You play against better players, and you got to figure out how to be successful.
Right.
And a lot of people don't push themselves that way.
Right.
But listen, like you see girls like Avery Howe. She wants that smoke. She's in there at T3 all the time, working out, playing with the guys, cooking dudes, all this and that. You need to really push this. It's a different level of physicality. It's a different level of speed and quickness. And once again, not a knock, just facts.
Right.
Men are built different than women.
Right.
We ain't gonna get into all that conversation, but the fact of the matter is that, my pops, when I was growing up, he took me to the inner city and he said, "You're gonna run with me and my guys." I said, I'm a 7th grader playing against men. I'm like, I was tripping out the first few times I played. I said, how am I gonna do this? Whatever. And then you start to get a feel for it. You feel yourself getting better. It elevates your game if you allow it to. There's a certain level of mental toughness that it takes to be able to do that because it's an uncomfortable situation for a lot of people. That is going to make you mentally tougher as well.
Right.
You ain't going to be able to do.
Well, you got to earn the ball.
100%.
You got to earn the ball.
Yeah,
and that's the hard part that a lot of people don't. If it's not, they're not passing me the ball. Okay, well, what can you do to get it? Can you rebound? Can you get a stop? Those types of things where, for me, and that's not even just competing, higher level or, being a girl playing against a boy or a young high school kid playing against college or pro, earn the ball. If you want it, go defend, go pick up full court, go get every rebound. Every time a shot goes up, crash the glass, box your person out, talk on defense, be that person that, to some people, he does everything right, he's always doing what coach is telling him. Be that guy. I'd rather be the one that's annoying to everybody else and I'm the one playing and getting opportunities than be the one complaining about what that person's doing. So for our girls to go compete against the guys, and not only that, organize open gyms amongst each other so that there's more open runs for women too.
Yeah.
Because I see the boys all the time, but it's like I see the girls, they want to go shoot on the side, and then it's half speed reps. Okay, you're in the gym, but just because you're here doesn't guarantee you to get better.
Yeah.
Get into a run, get a group of girls, 10, 15, and start an open gym. If you want to jump into the boys, jump in with the boys. And understand, you got to earn the ball. The same way as if you're the last player on the men's team and you're trying to get opportunities, you got to earn the ball. So I think that that's something that could be huge, is just them being able to come and compete against each other and earning that respect.
100%. I think like you said, people need to take the initiative, set up runs, reach out to us.
Right.
I'll get you over in T3. We'll set up a run, get some of the top guys, players, girls, players. All that stuff is accessible. We can do that. Like I said, I was around the top girls basketball program in the country growing up. like they were on Cheerios boxes, Wheaties boxes, whatever, Oregon City. Then when I got there, all the D1 commits, them girls were living in the gym with us guys.
Right.
They were like, when you go, we want to be there. And don't take it easy on us, like you said, which I want to touch on this. Very important thing, and it's a great point you made. Like, 2 points. The first point is, go get the ball. Go make a stop. Go do. When you get to college, you going in looked at it the same way. Ain't no freshman coming in being like, let's get them the ball.
Right.
You got to come in open gyms. You got to come into workouts. You got to be different. You got to show you're different. You got to extra effort. You know, get stops. Do the small things. Then that respect starts to, you know, you lay that foundation. Then that's how you see it. It's the same way when the girls play with the guys. It's going to get you ready for college ball.
Right.
I mean, and so that was a great point. The other point was that when girls play with the guys, I guess it falls into what we just said. You're not just going to get the respect. It's not going to be there. It needs to be an extra effort. There was another point you made that I'm trying to remember that was super valid. I'm forgetting it right now, but I do want to talk about your fit. What you got going here?
This the Joe Mapoyo Meridian High School. This is his Division I team that he went to.
Yes, sir.
This is his shirt. He had an NIL deal, getting shirts done. So I trained him for when I first one of his older brothers, a good friend of mine, and then I trained him and his sister Mary, who was also a Division I player at Texas Southern. She went to JUCO, then went to Texas Southern. But Joe came back and he worked out with me. One summer. He worked with me when he was in high school for a summer, and then he worked out with me for a summer when he was getting ready to go he was going back to his JUCO. And he went from 10 points a game to, I think, 18 points a game, was an All-American, MVP of a tournament, career high 39, and then signed Division I on a full ride scholarship. So
shout out Joe Mapoyo.
Yeah, Joe Mapoyo, my boy.
That state championship team with Brody Roberry, who is his boy, best friend.
They're at the same school,
he's there too.
Yep.
He got the NIL stuff going on too. Shout out to my girl who I haven't mentioned yet, Maddie Simmons, state champ last year. Coach Nicole Simmons out there at Coeur d'Alene. She's at Wyoming getting some burn, hooping out there at Wyoming. She's going to play against her girl, Tegan Colvin, next year because they're in the same conference.
Yep.
I want to give a shout out to Lauren McCall at University of San Diego.
Yep.
Audrey Taylor at Northern Arizona.
Yep, she's a baller. She
Glan-
played against the boys. Audrey
yeah,
Taylor.
Audrey was always hooping against the guy. Sophie Glancy, her Timberline teammate. They were state champs together at Timberline a few years ago. She's at Northern Arizona.
Shout out Andy Jones.
Andy Jones.
Middleton legend, Caldwell legend,
Yep.
state champs at every single school he's been at, Timberline now.
Yep.
And a dude that, he was my math teacher when I was in high school, but just, he's a basketball junkie, always watching film, and he has one of those personalities where you got to get to know him to understand him. If you see him from afar, you may not like him, but once you meet him and see his philosophies and how he coaches, he doesn't sugarcoat nothing. And, you know, he's turned programs around. He takes on new challenges from going from school to school. And man, what a great dude.
Yes, it's a couple state championships. Yeah, and they're going to be tough next couple years because Swilly's coming. Emmy Swilly's a
And
sophomore.
my girl Lexi Moore is there too.
Yeah, Lexi Moore. They're always tough. And then they got Mertes this year, so who knows? They got players that can pop. They could be tough.
Well,
but
each team has some people with potential. I know Bora's young core and Coach Ebb and Sham and them over there do a great job of developing a program, not just varsity, a program. And I think that's one thing that I really hope that as a whole that the SIC and all of Idaho can understand is that you don't just develop your varsity players, you develop your freshmen and sophomores and your JV team, and that is what feeds into your program. Now, with everybody transferring and this, you know, the grass is always greener, they think they can just leave a bad situation. How about develop? How about the coaches develop? Don't just get talent and then try to win with that. Develop these players. That's something Diamond Lane does a great job of. One day I seen him in the gym at Salvation Army and he was training a bunch of young girls and I'm like, dang, bro, how do you do it? And he's like, this is the best part. This is the true development. Yeah. Look at these girls' footwork in 2 years from now. Look at these girls and they build up. Now I see the girl that he has, the little freshman girl that's killing that boy right now. Great footwork, mature, poised, and you know, we need more of that. Meta Hoops does it with their development of their young program.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on the clubs. The high school's got to accountability for it. Develop your
Yeah.
programs. Not every kid is fortunate to play club. Not every kid makes the club team. They make the high school team. You can't cut. You got Title IX. You can't cut. So develop these players that you have. Don't just give up on them.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, I'm going to worry about the varsity. Then the JV's bad and the sophomore bad, and then you have nothing to look forward to. Then you resign.
Yeah.
No, develop your program. And if you take a shot at that, if the shoe fits, wear it. Because development is huge.
Facts. Seen a lot of that though since I've been out here. When I coached at Eagle, when I got over to Eagle, and this is not a shot at anybody. It was the varsity coach was, I got the varsity program. I'm going to let the JV coach run his stuff at the JV program and do what he needs to do. The sophomore coach can do what he needs to do. And then my first year was the freshman coach at Eagle. He goes, and then you do whatever you feel is good with this group. I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to be done. You implement your stuff. You're involved from bottom all the way to the top.
Yep.
And that's what I was used to. I played for the winningest coach in Oregon high school boys basketball history, and that's what he did.
Right.
And then I played, in my first 2 years, I played for the second winningest coach in Oregon high school basketball history before I transferred and played for and man, I'm telling you, if you don't do it that way, it's going to be a short stint.
Right.
The problem here in Idaho is that a lot of these guys have no leash.
Right.
It's like you teach at the school. It don't matter how you do or how you run the program, how many wins you have, how many losses, what's best for the kids. As long as we have somebody in place and it's stable,
right,
and it functions, we're okay. That is such a disservice to the athletes, the players,
right,
the state, the kids.
Right.
But a lot of these schools, and listen, we'll get into this when we talk about Owyhee boys basketball down the road in one of our next episodes. A lot of these schools are upset with Owyhee because ultimately their administration doesn't have an understanding of what it looks like and what it takes. Not just coaches, administrations. The Owyhee administration over there, they understand what it takes. Let's go, and I'm not going to get too into it, but let's go put these people in place who are going to develop a program.
Right.
They understand bottom to top. It's
Right.
all the way through, and they implement the club scene because they can.
Right.
Like there's ways to do that without breaking rules,
Right.
and people don't like it because it's forcing them to do more work.
Right.
And so we see that, and like you said, you see Meta, you see Tree of Hope, you see Diamond Lane,
Right.
you see these people who are developing from. Right now, my first grade daughter is playing on a third grade Meta Hoops team, and they're playing on 10-foot hoops, which is a little overwhelming. But they're developing these girls.
And they're playing up, not down.
And they're playing up.
They're playing up,
Playing
not
up.
down.
Exactly, against older girls, where you got to figure it out. Throw them in the
Right.
fire. You know, some girls are like, I don't like this, can't do it.
Right.
Some girls are like, I'm going to go home and dribble after the game. I'm going to go shoot. Dad, take me to the park out here and teach me how to shoot on a 10-foot hoop. Right. And they develop them, and they have 2 practices a week.
Right.
And they've got former Division I players coaching. And
Right.
Emily Harden and Matt Boucher and
Right.
Mark Sanchez and
Right.
putting people in place who love the game, who are going to pour that into the kids and develop them all the way up. And that's why Meta Hoops is the cream of the crop out here.
Right.
And so agree with you totally. I think that's a whole nother episode, program development and all that.
Right.
But this has been a great talk on girls basketball. So much more we could talk about, trying to keep these episodes as short as possible. But dude, appreciate your knowledge, your wisdom.
Of course.
Hit him up. Hit us up. We are accessible via DMs. We like to communicate and build relationships. And if you want to get girls, if you want to get in and you want to run with the guys, let us know.
Yep,
We want to help how we can improve your game, improve the game, and so that's what we're about.
Right. And
So-
we have resources to help with more than just organizing open gyms, from training, from weightlifting, all of those things. There's plenty of people we know. I mean, that's something that I do. And again, no shot at any program in particular. Now, if you feel offended, then probably that message is for you. But there is schools. I know Eagle. My wife coaches at Eagles, former player, shooting guard, Division I at Weber State. And their program that is from the bottom up, that builds. Coach Monroe does a great job. And not just him, but Boise, the same thing with their program. And you could tell the teams that are good, and you could tell the programs that are good by the success of each team, not just the varsity team.
Agreed.
And that's no shot at anybody, but obviously if you feel some type of way, then maybe it is a shot at you. But
Yeah.
we're not here to please everybody. We're here to keep it real.
Keep it real. And I will finish and segue that Hawaii boys JV just beat Columbia boys varsity this morning in a tournament by 30.
Sheesh.
You've got a Columbia team that has been one of the top 4A teams maybe the last couple of years, maybe not last year, but some guys the last couple of years, and you got a Waihe's JV team beating them by 30.
Right.
Like that's top to bottom. That's what, and people hate that, and everybody's out there in the community, EBC sweating a Waihe, sweating a Waihe. No, we're gonna have that conversation. Right. I'll put everybody in their place. But shout out to the ladies, man. Yeah. We're gonna end in a quick prayer. We didn't do it last episode. That's on me, because our faith is what's most important to us.
Right.
And we use the game of basketball to touch lives as best we can for the Lord and for eternity. So you want to end us? You want me to end us?
You got it.
I got you. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to spend time together talking about something we love and we're passionate about. We pray that you just continue to uplift women's basketball from top to bottom, all the way through, and let it be a platform for people to, reach their goals and have experiences and learn valuable life lessons and build relationships, which is what life is about, is about building relationships and changing lives for the better. So we appreciate you giving us this opportunity to have this platform and continue to work through us to touch lives in a positive way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I love you, boy.
Love you too, brother.
Let's do it again.
Episode 3.
Let's go.